Pretty Little Liars' original sin sometimes deals with disturbing and problematic topics. We provided a list of content warnings in the episode description. Fuck.
I'm so sorry.
That was the bone. I like hitting my funny bone,
I elbowed you right on the knee.
and it just went like all the way up my leg.
That's a bad spot.
It was a radiating pain. Okay.
I'm keeping this in.
Hello and welcome to Dead Ends. I'm Emily,
I'm Brenton.
and today we have one final episode of season 1 of Pretty Little Liars' Original Sin,
Chapter 10.
Chapter 10. And thank God, because I'm tired of being spooked. I mean, I know we got another. Yeah, but it's like that's 4 more. I can do that for a month, but
Okay, right.
after
The end is in sight.
the end is in sight, and I don't want to be spooked no more. I don't like it. I get scared. It interrupts my sleep. It's not like the other Pretty Little Liars where it's less spooky, and it has gotten more campy. So I'll say that. It's well written, like it's a. I mean, except for the dance stuff. It's a. I can't speak to some of the other like athletics. Actually, I can. The inhaler stuff's a little weird too, but the plot itself is fairly well done in comparison.
In true PLL fashion, you know this is a PLL show because there's, especially with the like wrap up of this, there's a lot of things unresolved and it's very messy.
Yes, yeah, I will. When we finish the finale, Brenton was like, "But what's his name? What was his involvement? The guy who committed suicide."
Oh yeah, Crazy Joe.
Crazy Joe. Like things like that. It's like we don't have answers, and like I know part of that is because like they're leaving it open for next season.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also like close the murder.
Yeah. There's just certain like gaps that aren't directly like what's
Addressed.
going on with Archie and like what was up with Rose keeping him in a cage.
So we have some questions. We'll get to those, but first, more importantly, and on a much happier, lighter note, we have been watching Dancing with the Stars.
That's right.
And our lovely Tabitha, played by Chandler Kinney, I believe it's Chandler Kinney, is on the show, and she's so fucking good.
She is
She's,
amazing.
like so fucking good. And I know like she's danced before, and
Chandler
like people have opinions on like if you've danced before, should you be allowed on Dancing with the Stars? And I say yes because it makes good television.
It does, and it's all like. It's a competition, but
it's a
like,
competition, and it's for fun. It's kind of like the British Bake Off. Like it feels like that to me. It's like that kind of energy. It's the closest thing we have to the feeling of watching the Great British Bake Off in the U.S.
other than the is it the Great? Are they still running that? Where they did the American version of Great Bake? I digress.
I don't know. We never watched it though, so I can't tell you if it's as nice.
Yeah, because it's Paul Hollywood.
Yeah, I don't. He was my least favorite part, and we don't watch the new one because there's no Mary Berry or Sue and Mel. I think that's their names.
Yeah,
But anyway, no, this isn't about the Bake Off. This is about Dancing with the Stars.
that's right.
Chandler's so good. She's so good. And
Incredible.
as someone who loves dance, I'm just like, wow. Like, also, she has so much talent when it comes to dance. And I think the characters are cast in characters that serve them. Like, actors are cast in roles that serve them really well. But I'm like, could no one have told these people these dance plot lines make no sense? Not saying she knew. I'm not putting the blame on Chandler. That is not to her. I'm just like, if there's so much dance everywhere,
Right.
who's running the show?
Absolutely. And it makes me wonder. It's probably just personality fit, how they like fit them all in, and I think Chandler plays this like her character really well, like Tabby. So you can't like really change that there, but it's like okay.
But we cut a lot of scenes of Farron dancing because I assume she's not a trained dancer.
Yeah.
And could we have put someone, like, could we have switched those up?
Yeah, because I mean, Zarya is. I mean, I was just like double checking. I mean, like singer and actress, but like I don't know dance background and stuff.
Yeah.
Either way,
Regardless.
Chandler is like really,
So
really
good.
amazing.
So good.
I have zero background dance background, so it's like just watching the show and you see the comparison
That's
between
not
people.
true, baby. You took 4 weeks of ballroom to prepare for our wedding.
Oh,
and
that's
you
right.
learned a choreographed routine for it.
Apologies, I'm being too humble. I'm a ballroom expert. But so I have at least a small amount of experience. But you see the
You know how hard it is.
extremely
I think
hard.
by taking a class, you learn how hard it is. Like, if nothing else, you're just like, oh my God, like this thing. They're like, oh, why isn't their frame right? Or why are they arched over, like not in the perfect position? And then you're like, oh my God, there's so many positions. How am I supposed to like do this?
Right, absolutely. And so my posture's terrible. So like when they talk about frame amongst like, you got to keep your frame, which is essentially like
arm positioning and shoulder positioning.
Perfect. That's a much better way than I was going to describe it.
I thought you might need a little help.
Just like with my frame. It's like extremely hard. So then when they're like telling people like your frame and stuff, I'm like, yeah, I get it. So, and then just seeing the comparison to people, because we're rooting for our Olympians on there also. Stevie Medarozic and Alona. But then you see Chandler go out there and it's like, oh, okay, so Chandler should win.
You're just like, okay, give her the trophy, but like everyone else gets to dance till the end. Like that'd be nice.
Yeah. So if you're curious and you're not watching, it's only in week 3 as the time we're recording when this will go up. The 4th episode. No,
it'll be up that night because I think it airs on Tuesdays.
Yeah, the 5th episode maybe will be up because I think they did 2 and 2.
Yeah.
But you should go back and watch Chandler's Run DMC dance.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing is so good.
And 1 minute. I was Google searching something else that I'll bring up in a sec. But as you noticed in the crowd, like the whole cast was there.
Yeah, I thought that was so cute.
Yeah, so like
I'm like, is that Chip? And then I'm like, wait a minute. 1, that's not his name, but 2, he's not actually like a bad person. He's allowed to be out in public.
Right. So there's like,
but when your brain like can't quite put together because it's in reality and it's not a show. My brain is like, what are these people doing here? Like, this is dance.
Right. So there was like 2 separate episodes. There was one where Carson Rowland, who plays Chip, was there. And then there was a different episode where it's like all the main girls were essentially
all
there.
The little liars.
So yeah, like Bailey Madison and then Malia Piles. And I don't know if Zaria was there, but I remember at least seeing those 2 in the crowd, which is very cute.
Mm-hmm.
But also, we went back in time because we watched Dancing with the Stars.
Yes, and so then I went back to. Are you talking about the season I'm watching now? Or what are you talking about?
No, other PLL.
Oh, yes. So I was like, oh, I wonder who else, because I watched Dancing with the Stars when it first came out. It was very different. The show was different. I mean, it's still what it is, but like, I don't know. It was I don't know, 2007. I don't remember when it came out. It doesn't matter, but it was a long time ago, and it was a different vibe. And then they used to do 2 seasons a year too. That's why they're on season 33, even though I think maybe it was 2004. I can't remember when it started, but the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And they used to do a fall and a spring season. And so like you've had like multiple seasons a year. So there used to be a while there where they were just like churning out people to be on the show. So it kind of got to the point where you're like, you'd look at the list and you're like, I know maybe 1 name on this list of like people, or like I only care about maybe like 2 people on this list because like I just don't know who they are, or they're not specialists in anything that I'm interested in, or like you know.
Here's a football player.
Yeah, I don't care about sports ball. I'm gonna be so for real. Basketball, I knew when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I think he did it, and so like I knew about that one because my mom loves Kareem. Mm-hmm. But other than that, like there's just But so I was like, I knew Janelle Parrish did it. Like I remembered her doing it because she was with Val, and I've always loved Val because I think he's a really good dancer, and I think he's a good choreographer. And I think they used to show more of the dancers' personalities in the packages, like in the little video part they show of them like rehearsal or like whatever the arc they're creating for that episode is. So like some seasons the package is like this romance between the characters, and they like created this like romance between Val and Janelle Parrish that I like. It very like as soon as the show was over, it seemed like it was gone. Like it was very much for the show, and I'm fine with that as long as you're not like annoying about it. There's some this season that I'm like, there's one this season that I'm like, and if you watch, and if you don't, it's okay. You don't really need to know.
You know.
If you know, you know. But so I kind of remembered that one, but also Sasha did it.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone else though.
Yeah, I just tried to do a quick Google search and nothing was really coming up all that well. So,
but Janelle Parrish, I remember, was good, And so like I made Brenton watch a couple of her old dances because I was like, you got to see this.
She's really good.
She's really good.
It's incredible. So Chandler is in, a history.
She's in a history.
Literally 10 years before, because Janelle Parrish was on in 2014.
And I think she got second place. I think Janelle was a runner-up. I think.
Wild.
I'd have to double check. She might have won, but I don't think so.
Either way, incredibly good. Go watch.
She made it to the finale, like because the show basically works where I'm pretty sure 3 to 4 couples make it to the finale because you need to have enough dances to like make it interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And, so once you get to that episode, I'm like, they won. Like,
yeah,
because I mean, it's insane.
It's a win in my book,
and it has to do with like people voting and stuff like that, and there's math behind it.
Right? Yeah, because for people who don't know or don't watch it, it's like American Idol where there's judges' scores for like how well you did, like professional judges.
Do they still do American Idol? That might be a really dated reference.
Oh God. Okay, it's a competition show. I have not kept up. Where essentially there's professional judges there that'll be like, "Oh, you did this well, you get an 8."
And sometimes a guest judge that either does or doesn't know what they're talking about.
Good Lord, Gene Simmons was on this year, and it was terrible.
It's the worst thing I've ever seen. It was so misogynistic and just a mess.
Mm-hmm. And it reflected in his scores.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody hated it. So there's those judges, but then there's like a mathematical formula that also includes, because people can vote online or call in for who they want to see.
I think it's just text your website. I don't think you call in anymore.
Oh, okay. Grandpa, back in my day, we picked up the phone.
Back in my day, we had to call for our favorite person. Right. And you get 10 votes per method, so either online or your phone, per couple. So you can vote for like not everyone if there's more than 10, or you can vote for everyone 10 times. Like it's really weird.
Yeah.
I usually just vote. I voted 10 times last time because I was like, I can't.
I don't want to keep doing this.
I'll keep doing this. It's just a lot of work.
So then that also can keep people from week to week.
Yeah. So if you go back and watch season 31, Vinny from Jersey Shore is on it, and he is consistently one of the worst dancers once you get to a certain point, and he stays for a while.
Yeah. Because
he keeps getting like a lot of votes.
And then this season, Reginald Val Johnson from Family Matters. So again, dated reference, but it's old sitcom.
And Die Hard.
And Die Hard, yes, exactly. He's I forget his name, but the officer on the ground that's talking to John McClane the whole time. Great part. He was carried through for about 3 to 4 weeks, 3 weeks, because like people just loved him so much and got all the votes.
Yeah, like he didn't dance a lot, but he's
a little older.
Yeah, he's in his 70s, and I'm pretty sure that's what they said in his thing. I think he was in his 70s, and he'd had like a knee replaced. I don't remember. There was like he was not on Dancing with the Stars to look like Charlie D'Amelio when she wins. Like he's on Dancing with the Stars to do Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
And so I think people really, really love, like, I think that's what kind of makes it fun to have the audience vote. But then at the same time, sometimes you get people that make it really far that you're like, why?
Yeah.
Like the people that aren't trying, or people that aren't
like charismatic on the floor.
Yeah. Or not. Like Reggie was trying. Reggie was doing his best, and he was adorable. And I wish they could have kept him forever. And I think they should do like a golden Dancing with the Stars.
Like how they do Golden Bachelor and Bachelorette now?
Yeah. I think they should have that.
So there you go. I like it.
Are you listening, Disney, ABC?
Yeah.
It's me, Emily.
Mm-hmm. I got ideas.
I got ideas.
I can help clean this up so you don't have dumb guest judges either.
Yeah. Get rid of Gene Simmons. Never let that man back. Where was Bon Jovi? You couldn't call him?
Totally.
Anyone else, really.
Yeah. I think that is the sticky part of Dancing with the Stars, is the studio and like making this for a mass commercial audience in America.
Yes. But after my 15-minute rant about Dancing with the Stars.
One final thing.
Okay.
So Dancing with the Stars started in September on a Tuesday. By that Friday, PLL Original Sin had been canceled.
Oh no, poor thing. High highs and low lows.
Yeah, it was that same week. I was like, did that happen? So I double checked the dates. Brutal.
Oof.
She probably knew going into that week that there was like scuttlebutt.
Well, and they might have did they tell them before, or did they find out with everyone else?
Right, whenever the press release, I guess you can't ever tell.
Well, sometimes they'll say it. You know what I mean? Like, we just found out, or like,
Right. And with how Warner Brothers has been, well, whatever they're called, Warner Brothers Discovery, whatever that merger is now, is like more and more people being like, oh, we completed this movie and it got canceled. Cool. We didn't know that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. There's this whole thing that people can go look up on Acme versus Coyote and also Batgirl, both completed movies that they pulled off their slate and shelved to save money on tax breaks. So, yeah. When
I don't know if I'm allowed to do that on YouTube, but
yeah, fair enough. It's as long as it's not in the first 30 seconds. I think.
Well, and also we're not monetized. Like, what am I worried about? Like,
I think it's like has to do with how they like surface you. But I think it's like the first like minute or so that like really counts.
Yeah, because I think a podcast I listen to, they make sure they don't say the C word in the first like 5 minutes. Which I think is great. I'm just like, yeah, just put it later.
There's a YouTuber, is it Rosie D? I forget how you actually say his name, who has done like skits and content and now does like professional voiceover for like anime and stuff like that. Had put up a video around that time when it was like going around when people figured out like what it was like delisting you from. So it like went for the maximum amount of time to where they wouldn't get delisted and then went into a like expletive rant. So, oh no, was there my last point on that was, I think it was surprising that PLL Original Sin even got renewed for a second season, because after its first season was when they merged and that's when they canceled like Batgirl and just like shelved a bunch of cartoon projects and stuff. So it sucks, but
I wonder like what that means for its performance. And it's hard because I don't know how much we can learn when it's on HBO and it's streaming, and like we don't have access to those numbers.
Yeah, it's like,
at least I assume we don't.
I think you could look at what I've seen in other,
but it all comes from them, I guess. They're self-reporting data,
right? Exactly. It's the release of how long was it in like the top 10. And I think it was up there. So it's, annoying.
Why does every streaming service cancel everything that's fun?
Yeah.
Even though I'm like kind of glad to be done with this, but
yes, you're like, but that doesn't mean it could have been.
It doesn't mean that it's not good television.
Yeah, and that it shouldn't have been
renewed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're just like, my taste is not for the spooks.
No, I don't like being spooked. I'm not very brave. I'm brave in other ways.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right. Well, are we ready to get to the episode that we're here for?
I am ready.
Chapter 10, Final Girls. Back in 1999, at the Waters house, Angela fights with her mom, Rose, about going to the rave because she's wearing revealing clothing and wearing makeup, and Rose even insinuates that she was hurt because she invited it. Ugh. Angela leaves the house with Rose screaming after her. Back in the present day, Farron comes home as her dad's out of jail, and Corey helped him out, says that they didn't even press charges. It was one of the deputies who arrested him, but he thinks that the whole thing felt more like a warning than anything else. At the Orpheum, Tabby asks Wes where Chip is to make sure he's not there. She asks if Wes remembers over summer when they were showing Jaws and Jaws 2 as a double feature, and he's like, oh yeah, I remember you and Chip skipping out and both bailing. Tabby's like, well, I went to a party, but where did Chip go? He's like, I'm pretty sure he went to the same thing. The liars gather at Pinball Pizza. Tabby tells him
How would he know?
I think he probably is just, unless Chip told him. Chip might, I guess he doesn't know, but he probably just assumed.
Okay, because I was like,
I could make an easy assumption of like, oh, there she goes, going out to a party or something, and then it's like, oh, there goes Chip. So he's like, oh, those teens.
That's fair. He also, like, he's got no control over his employees, which, I mean, he's kind of a dud.
Oh God,
they really like dethrone like the menace of him fairly quickly, which is odd.
Yeah, he's just kind of a putz by the end of the
he's kind of just a loser.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough, but like also,
I'm like, but he still is a creep.
Yeah, and then they have him just be like kind of like buddy with Tabby after like Sydney reams him. It's interesting. It's a choice. The liars gather at Pinball Pizza. Tabby tells them about Sheriff Beasley raping Angela, and Imogen says her mom and him used to date in high school and that someone dug up her mom's body last night. Imogen thinks Tom could be A and killed her mom to keep her quiet because she knew what he did to Angela. They wonder why their moms didn't tell them about Tom, and then Noah's like, all right, we split up our moms and we get them to tell us the truth. We then get scenes of the girls all interrogating their respective parents. Lodi says that Davy only dated Tom for a few weeks in senior year. Noah asked Marjorie if she knew that Tom was the one who raped Angela, and Marjorie's like, it was just a rumor, it was never confirmed. Farron asked Corey if she knew about it, and Corey admits that Angela did tell them. Farron wonders if it was before, during, or after Imogen's mom dated him. Corey says they broke up right after Davy heard the rumors. Corey says they shouldn't go to the police as it's a crime from 20 years ago with no proof, and they need to keep quiet while they're ahead. Farron gets a text from Kelly asking to meet. The two girls meet at the swing set, and Kelly says her dad is spiraling, and he knows that her mom and her told Farron about him attacking Angela, and then now he won't let them leave the house, and she even has to drop out of school until the end of the year. Farron says her dad might be responsible for Karen's death and that her and the girls have been terrorized by a mass killer, and that the mass killer killed Tyler, went after Kelly in the auditorium, and pushed Karen out of the rafters. Farron tells her that A is avenging the death of Angela Waters and punishing all the people who hurt her. She and the girls will make a plan to get Kelly and her mom out of the house and away from her dad. Tabby tells Imogen about her suspicion that Chip is the one who attacked both of them. Imogen is extremely upset by this, for good reason, but Imogen thinks that if he did something, they could find some real evidence. When she woke up on the morning after, her underwear was missing, and that he could have kept it as a souvenir. Tabby says Chip is working late at the Orpheum so they can get into his house. They go to Chip's house, and his mom happily lets them in. The girls tear apart his room. Tabby searches through his closet, but only finds a crate of movies hidden in the back that she describes as quote-unquote hardcore rapey horror movies. Imogen asks how sure Tabby is about her feelings, and she says sickeningly sure. So then they head to the Orpheum, where they interrogate Chip, and then about him attacking them, and he denies it. But then Tabby says Wes remembers him leaving the party or leaving the theater early to go to the party, and Imogen says they have proof and that his blood matches the baby's DNA, which they obtained at the blood drive. Chip then admits that he did it, and Tabby wonders how he could do this to her, as he was her best friend and he stole everything from her, and Imogen calls him sick and demented for getting close to her. Chip starts to reel away from them, but then A approaches from behind. He asks who the fuck that is and runs out of the Orpheum. Imogen tells A that Chip hurt both of them the same way Tom hurt Angela, so then A moves past them and chases after Chip. The next day at school, they tell Mouse, Farron, and Noah about what happened to them and that A is back. The girls hope that A hurt Chip and wishes he would knock on Sheriff Beasley's door next. Farron tells them about meeting with Kelly. Their phones go off with a text from A that reads, "Your final round is about to begin. You broke your rule." Farron curses as A must know that she told Kelly about stuff. Imogen realizes they have to go back to the Waters house to search the home for real, to see if there's anything that they can tell them how the pieces fit together. They go to the Waters house and look for clues to A's identity. All the moms we see get individually kidnapped by A. Farron looks around the house and asks if someone else could have lived there, someone other than Angela and Rose. Tabby gets excited as she references a secret foreign brother no one talks about, like the movie People Under the Stairs. I've never seen it. Imogen moves an old wooden plank to... It's just funny that this is actually what it is. Imogen moves an old
He said, no subtlety in our foreshadowing.
Pretty much.
We gotta wrap this up.
I was so excited. I was like, oh, twin twist. But then we just don't see who Archie is, and we'll get to that. Imogen moves an old wooden plank to find height markings etched into a door frame. There are 2 sets of them. Both initials are AW. Farron asks if there is more than one Angela Waters. Noah calls for the girls and points out that in the metal cage there's crayons inside, and that's extremely fucked up. That a kid was probably kept in there. Imogen finds a Polaroid under the fridge that has 2 kids in Halloween costumes. A sends them a photo of Millwood High with the message, "Time for the trial." A also sends a photos of their parents passed out in the back of a van. They go to the school together, and Imogen sends Karen.
I know that's horrifying, but imagine getting a photo of your parents kidnapped. It's just not a horror you think about a lot. You know what I mean?
No, not at all. It's just what? Imogen is we're almost all here, and sends Karen a 911 text to meet them at the school.
Kelly.
Yeah. Kelly.
Karen's dead.
Yep.
Or is she? I'm just kidding. I think it's Kelly.
Yeah. Together, the 5 girls head into the school. The entrance has a long table with lit candles on them with hall passes for each of the girls. And then the notes section on the hall passes dictates what rooms the girls need to report to. Another text comes through. All bullies must be punished tonight, starting with yours. Tabby goes to the film room. On a desk is a card from A with a long knife next to it. The message says, Chip hurt you. He's your bully. Carve an A into his chest. Tabby looks up to see Chip restrained in a chair, duct tape around his mouth, and a huge chalkboard behind him reads, Punish the guilty. Noah enters a classroom to find her mom's drug dealer tied to a table with ropes. There's a tray next to him with 7 syringes full of blue liquid. The note says, He bullied you and your mom. Time to give him a taste of his own medicine. Mouse is in the computer lab and finds Steve tied to a chair. A rusty mousetrap is on a desk with a note. He played cat and mouse with you. Now it's your turn. Trap him before he does it again. Steve has candles lit at his feet with 4 mousetraps set in front of him. Farron finds Madame Giry in dance class tied to the dance bar with ropes. The note says she bullied you to be perfect. Time to make her imperfect. And in front of the note is a tattoo gun.
Which I think is honestly like the funniest of all the things.
I know.
Like, it's like...
Madame Giry wasn't even really that bad.
Also, but like... I'm sorry. The difference between like injecting someone with a drug that probably is going to kill him because it's a lot of drugs, and tattooing someone is like the widest bar.
So that's like why, like, out of everybody, Farron's like, okay, starts the gun up. I mean, she doesn't actually do it supposedly,
but like I'd be like, what do you want?
Yeah,
like, Madame Giry, you got any preferences? I'm not a great artist.
Yeah, so out of anything that you could have just done it. Little M for Madam.
What?
That's her first name.
Anybody know a good attorney? I need to get out. No. Yeah. Or like, I'm gonna just do a little dot.
Yeah.
Like, if it was a tattoo gun, I might have done it. Like, would you have done any of these? I didn't put this in any of my questions, but it's like...
I would have done the tattoo, yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, I don't think I could have carved an A into Chip.
No.
I don't like blood.
Yeah.
That might have been my wrong with the tattoo. Also, I guess, like, does the tattoo stuff look new and clean? Or is there any chance I'm going to get heuristic?
Oh, that's true.
Needles are a dangerous game.
Yeah.
I also don't know how to use a tattoo gun.
Yeah, I don't either. There's no instructions.
The odds of me accidentally tattooing myself in
plug into wall. Step 2. Okay, turn on.
They wrote them out for me. All the A's are like red. Like,
oh, look, there's different colors. That's black, red. Okay, there's the different inks.
What would you tattoo?
Yeah, I probably just would have put an initial. It's like, I'm just gonna put your initial. I'm sorry. You can get it. You can get it off.
Yeah.
Like, make it small, right?
Or a heart.
Oh yeah. What would you put?
I don't know. I'd probably do something like a dot or a heart or something small and easy.
Yeah.
Maybe a letter, but like certain letters I feel like would be worse than like certain, you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to think of things that are like not a lot of like lifting
motions.
and lowering. Yeah.
Yeah. Because a G would be a little hard.
The G's are hard.
You'd have to, if you did like a lower, you could do actually a capital G isn't that bad.
Yeah. Oh, it depends on what kind of script you're using.
Oh, sorry. We're doing it in cursive.
Well, my cursive G's are ugly.
Yeah, I never have to write G's in a capital G in cursive, so. Imogen goes to the library. A sheet covers a human corpse in front of a tombstone that reads, Davy Lee Adams. Next to Davy's body is a note with a pair of tongs on a small plate. Think your mom wasn't a bully? Look at her mouth and she'll finally tell you the truth. Actually, I would do this as well because it's like, okay, this is horrifying, but I have to know.
I don't know if I could have done this one.
It would have been, I would have been like Imogen in the next scene where it's like
I don't think I could have done it alone. Like, someone would have to be in there with me. Like, I don't.
I mean, a corpse is your mother.
Yeah, it's your mom's dead body.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And it's not like fresh.
No, she'd been in the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't see her body, but.
They don't show us.
No.
On the old Pretty Little Liars, they would have showed us.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
But it wouldn't have been realistic, but they would have showed us.
Exactly. And it's yeah, we'll get back around to, I think, some of this whole thing a little later.
It's kind of funny because it's like on HBO, so I expected them to show us, to be honest.
Yeah, for this to be more graphic. But
which is fine. Like, I don't want it to be graphic. That is not I just think it's kind of funny because it's like, oh.
Yeah, if we could actually talk about this when we get back to the discussion too, because I do want to dig into this a bit more of how they set these trials up, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
I think they just kind of pull their punches. I don't know. The liars meet in the hallway. No one did anything written on the cards. Imogen stands apart from the girls, leaning against the lockers with their eyes closed. They get a text from A. Well done, you showed mercy. Maybe there's hope. Gather in the auditorium. The trial begins now. The girls go to the auditorium and find their moms tied to chairs. A emerges from stage right. Imogen asks if he's Angela's brother. Principal Clanton walks across the stage, holding a gun. He's like, yes, A's real name is Archie.
And I'm her dad.
Right. It's real, like... It's not even... It's like sub-Scooby-Doo level reveal because Principal Clanton has done nothing this entire season.
It's the red herring.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways. Kelly comes out of her room, but Tom stops her from going anywhere. She's like, I need to help my friends. But he's like, no one is leaving this house. She's like, you can't make us stay here forever. And he's like, it's not for forever. Clanton tells the girls he's impressed they uncovered the identity of the man who violated his poor Angela. He reveals that she was his daughter, and Archie is his son. He grew up in Millwood and was classmates with Rose. Eventually, they hooked up, and Rose got pregnant with twins. His parents didn't approve and paid the Waters family to move out of town. Clanton stayed in town and became a teacher at Millwood High and eventually vice principal, and then Rose came back to Millwood. Imogen asked why Angela came to school and not Archie. Clanton's like, Rose wanted Archie at home, as he had a face only a mother could love. He's like, no one could ever know the truth about their past, and Rose understood that. So he watched Angela, like, going around the school, including with Davy and her clique. But then Angela took her own life. It wasn't because of the assault, but afterwards, because of something the girls did. You know, you're leaping a little to conclusion.
Mm-hmm. No one was doing anything nice for Angela.
No. Including Principal Clanton.
What was I going to say? What was his... My brain just stopped.
You're thinking later where he's like, we're going to prevent this from
No,
happening?
what I was going to say is it's truly PLL when you have a guy who gets his girlfriend pregnant while they're young and you have the parents pay them off to leave.
That's right.
And then they come back.
Except in this case, he's like, yeah, I was cool with it. And then Fitz is like, well, I didn't feel good about that.
It doesn't make me feel good that I had this happen.
Mm-hmm. But,
even though I took no part in it.
Exactly.
Fitz is
now,
very...
Clanton, did you actually test of whether these were your children?
Well, I think...
Is it a Maggie and...
yeah.
The Beasley family awkwardly eat dinner together. Kelly's like, we didn't do anything wrong, but you're the one who assaulted a girl, and Karen's dead because of your actions. Someone is punishing people for what they did to Angela, and she's realized that there would be no killer if it wasn't for Tom, and Karen would be alive. Martha slowly gets up from the table. Tom picks up his gun, and he's like, do you want to know how many bullets in here? 3. And do you really think you're ever going to leave this house again? And then Martha comes up behind him and stabs him in the stomach.
She's like, you're not killing another one of my babies.
Yeah, hell yeah, Martha.
Get it, girl.
At Millwood High, Clanton repeats that Angela took her life because of something else. Imogen says she thinks she knows what Principal Clanton is talking about, and then takes out Davy's diary pages, which were with her mother's body, and asks why Erase Her is on almost every single page. But we get a quick cut over to Kelly, who runs into Pinball Pizza and is like, Greg, I need your help. And then all his buddies just sit there and go, bye, Greg. I thought she
Name
was getting...
a more high school boy thing in... Well, I'm gonna finish my pizza, but like, have fun.
Oh, he's always off with his girlfriend, hanging out with us, having the good times. Sydney tells everyone about the truth about what they did to Angela. Davy went to check on Angela after she found out about the assault. Then Angela's like, Tom was the one who did it. And then Davy's like, no, you're not. No, he didn't. You're a liar. And instead of helping her, started to bully her more and came up with a plan to make everyone at school pretend she didn't exist. So literally people were walking to her in the hallway and like stomping over her. Later, after a few, we don't get like how much time, but after some time that she's been being bullied, Davy pretended to apologize to her and invited her to the Y2K party. But when Angela arrived at the party, she was a mess. But Davy still made them ignore her. This is one of those like plot gaps, like plot holes. It's like, why was she a mess?
Well, because her and the mom in the fight before she left. What do you mean?
She came like crawling into that in the first scene. You know how her like...
Yeah, she's running like crying, like running away from her mom.
You think that's what it is?
Yeah.
It seemed like she was attacked before she came in.
Well, I think because her mom was so mean, like...
She's literally crawling on the floor?
Well, I think she's like desperate to be seen.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
she says, like
maybe.
her mom's like, "Oh, your friends don't even like you. Like they didn't even," and then she goes, and then they treat her that way.
That,
Like,
but that's like after she's in distress already. Like she comes in there under distress.
well, because she runs around outside and no one will acknowledge her too.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
Imagine like literally being ignored for like
Right.
weeks at a time when you're already like, you've been assaulted.
Yeah.
And your mother tells you that nobody loves you and treats you that way, and then like everyone acts like they don't like you, like you'd crack.
Totally. It just seemed like because her vision's swimming. I don't know. I thought there was something else going on, but
Maybe.
I see your point.
I think it's more like a panic attack.
Right.
Like she's like, oh, like I feel, at least that was the vibe I got from it. It's like, I feel like I'm so unseen and no one will notice me and no one will see me that I have to do this extreme thing to be seen.
Right.
And it's die.
Okay. Right.
I mean, I think when in the first episode they tried to portray it more like a drug or something because it leaves it more open for you.
Right, as like the mystery.
Yeah, but I think this is their explanation.
Okay.
You can believe that it's subpar, or that it wasn't presented in that way, and I would accept that. But I didn't think much of it. I was like, I mean, like I was like, oh, this makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think your reading is like unsatisfactory. It's more that it seemed unclear, the connective tissue to me. So I don't have it. I think your reading on it works well enough. I just hadn't it's not that it doesn't give me enough to like chew on there and like have a point to it. It's more just like it maybe left it a little bit more open and vague to me that I wondered if there was something else that happened.
So hard to be a man. I'm just
I know.
kidding.
Can't process these things. You got to give me one thing at a time.
What do you mean feelings? She says,
You should have just like buried it and gone on with it.
like, what if you just like punch somebody?
Exactly. You just explode at someone else or punch some drywall.
I'm just kidding. You're the most sensitive man I know.
Like so, this is a tangent. Never mind. I think I mentioned it last time, but I finished up Magic's Pawn, the first in Mercedes Lackey last Harold Mage trilogy, and that has the softest teen boy with the teen feelings you've ever imagined. And I'm like, I get this.
This is me.
Except for like that he's like misfit because he's gay.
Mm-hmm.
Imogen realizes that's why her mom killed herself. Imogen tries to persuade Clanton that her mom had changed. Clanton says that even if she did change, it was too late to save Angela. Clanton sends Archie after Imogen because her mom isn't here to pay, but gives her a head start for her baby's sake.
This makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, why just attack her?
Well, also, like, I'm going to get you, but I'll give you a head start for your baby's sake doesn't make any fucking sense.
In the scene that I cut out, just to make the summary go a little faster, he's going to go after her, and then she, like, holds
I know, but it's just, like, that's not going to save her. Like, it's just, like, it just adds tension. Like, the whole purpose of that is just to add tension. So, like, it doesn't...
And I think it does actually show, like, Archie's hesitancy of, like...
Well, it's Clanton who says she gets a head start.
Right, but Archie stops in his tracks when she grabs her stomach of being like, but my baby is innocent. My baby did nothing. And then Archie's like, oh, shit. So I think it's trying to show that Archie has this, like, push-pull of, like, this father figure that's controlling him.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, he still chases after her, so, you know. Imogen runs away and has a bunch of flashbacks about her mom while chasing A. This is really goofy.
Mm-hmm.
Farron asks Clanton about what happens to them now. He's like, with their sacrifice, they'll ensure that what happened to Angela will never be forgotten or ever happen again. Unclear what this will actually do. Clanton also says he plans to pin all of this mess on Tom. Kelly then bursts in with Greg, and then Clanton pulls his gun and shoots Greg in the shoulder. Yay! Tabby hits Clanton with a name plaque, knocking him unconscious. Imogen makes it to her house and remembers playing hide-and-seek with her mom as a child. And is like, I need to hide and seek. And then decides to hide behind the shower curtain in the bathroom as if A isn't going to be able to find her there. I understand like what it actually ends up being was like because once A finds her, she attacks A with a knife and they have a scuffle and then she eventually stabs him in the throat and he falls to the ground. Tabby, Noah, Farron, and Mouse arrive at the Adams house and find Imogen and A upstairs, and Imogen says her water broke. Imogen has a nightmare that she had her baby but finds A's mask in the bassinet. And this was actually, according to Bailey Madison, like what they were originally planning to do, and then they changed what the script was. Because then she wakes up to find that she did have her baby, and Sydney and Tabby tell her that the baby is fine. A is in the hospital and survived. Tom is also there and survived. Clanton and Chip were both arrested. Imogen later visits her mom's grave with her baby and tells the girls she knows who her mom was in high school, but also knows who she became and which version she's going to hold in her heart for the rest of her life. It's Christmas. Everyone gathers at the Hayworth house, and for Christmas, gathers at the Hayworth house, including Kelly and Greg. I have some questions about why Greg was invited, but I guess, sometimes you have that friend with the shitty boyfriend. Marjorie tells everyone she's going to rehab. Yay! Corey is now staying in Millwood permanently. Yay! Shirley and Elodie are going to couples therapy. Yay! And then Elodie's
my favorite announcement of the group.
It's the one that makes the most sense.
No, it makes the most sense.
And Marjorie's, actually.
But they're like, oh, we're going to work on our marriage. It's just the idea, and I love that they talk about therapy openly, but imagine you're at a party and everyone's sharing their updates, and you're like, and we're going to couples therapy.
Well, here's the next one, because then it's like, well, no more. Elodie's not going to stay at the motel. I cut out the interstitials of kind of everybody else, except for this one because it cracks me up. No more motel for Elodie, and Mouse is like, I'm never going to go there either because I have everything I need right here. And then grown, Ash is like, well, is MASH finally canon? Don't do this. Don't wink and nod at.
When they do this, I don't want you mentioning the fandom.
No,
I want us to be separate.
Yes.
There's a line between us.
Don't wink, nod at these ships and shit.
They've done this, and there's a.
They do this in PLL.
They do this in PLL, but when they do it in PLL, it's friendships
Oh, right, Sparia.
Yeah,
it's
Sparia
back together, and you're like, yeah.
And you're like, yeah, because it's oh, they're gonna, and they're saying it to each other. I don't know. Whereas a couple, couples hashtags are a thing that we did, but that's not what the kids do now, I don't think. Do you remember when we first started dating, our friends tried to put our names together, and there's this picture of the two of us, Bremley or Emmilton.
I like Emmilton. That sounds like it would be you're watching Bridgerton.
But
period appropriate romance.
Even then we're what the fuck? I mean, it's funny, it's cute, it's whatever, but then you're no one's doing it for real.
Do people still do this?
But I don't feel that's still a thing, except for people who are fans do this.
Yes, for sure. So don't reference it in your show. It's a bad idea.
Dear writers that are obviously watching.
Exactly.
We with
Writer 101.
No experience in this.
Yeah, the showrunners are watching. After the festivities, Imogen, Tabby, Sydney, and Corey sit down in the kitchen to discuss Chip and the sexual assault case. Chip is already back at home because his parents made bail, and then the girls is we want to press charges, and they want him to pay for what they did. And Corey's well, I know a good lawyer who could do this pro bono. Later, Tabby asks if Imogen. I'm unsure if that actually meant her. Later, Tabby.
Me too. I was oh, is this
you talking about someone else?
Yeah.
Later, Tabby asks if Imogen wants her to come to meet the new adopted family. And Imogen's yes, I love trips to Rosewood. The parents are a great couple, have been wanting a baby for a long time. Their names are Arya and Ezra. Hold this thought. We're going to come back to something in a sec. Imogen says the best part is that they're open to staying in touch with her about the baby's life and sending her updates. Tabby asks if her new mother's intuition is telling her if it's over for good, and Imogen looks out the window and says she thinks it's over. In the hospital, a nurse finds Tom bleeding from his stomach. Archie's room is empty and the guard has been stabbed to death. At the Langsbury home, someone rings the doorbell and Chip answers, and then it's A, leaps forward, raising a butcher knife above his head. The end. So, people that are in the fandom probably already know this, but as I was looking up things for the episode, an entry on the fandom came up for one Catherine Fitz. So apparently during PLL The Perfectionists, what they would do on Twitter is they would put the PLL account, the main one, would post sample text text conversations between the Liars and Allison. So there's a text conversation between Allison and Arya where she tells Allison that they are adopting this baby and naming it Catherine. Catherine. Oh,
Catherine Ella.
There you go. Catherine Ella Fitz. So unclear if Imogen's baby is the second child or if this is what we're coming back around. Also, if I was a fan watching The Perfectionist and you're doing this teasing shit with the original cast and none of them made an appearance out of the show, I'd be pissed.
I do wonder if part of it is because like the show didn't make it long enough to like do that.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Let's talk about Chip.
Sure.
Catching Chip. It's gonna be my new Lifetime show. I guess that's more of like a
About
TLC.
exposing incels.
Did he drug Tabby or was she just really drunk? That part remains unclear because she's like, I only had a couple drinks and then I felt...
He finds her.
He finds her.
So that's the other thing about like Greg being invited at the end and being like this happy thing. It's like Greg is like a party of being like just a real big asshole. And also there's this like thing of like, it seems like Tyler was trying to drug Mouse or at least trying to get her drunk. So like...
Yeah, like were they drugging people? Is that what happened to like... Did Imogen, was she really drunk or was she drugged? Was Tabby really drunk or was she drugged?
Right. Because also then it sounds like when Chip finds her, she's already like in like a state of just disrepair. And at least with Imogen, I think it makes a little bit more sense that she took a bottle with her and was probably just like drinking alone. And then, you know, extremely gross crime of opportunity, right? Like
exactly.
That is a big gap. Because it seems like he does just fine. He, at least in his recollection, is like, I found you, Tabby, and I wanted us to be close, which is extremely gross. And I think when I say incel, I think it is absolutely doing this on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
Because like he talks about how it's like you were with these jocks and everything and entertaining them, and we had been friends for forever. I wanted to be close to you. It's that type of entitlement and... like almost anger at like not getting the attention from women.
Yeah,
it's rough. There's a lot of rough stuff in this season and in this episode.
But they do kill Chip in the end. Well, not they. A. A kills Chip in the end.
Which makes A's whole thing of not actually going after people like really weird. You know what I mean? Like it's later that A is like this spirit of vengeance, but then like why again go after Imogen? Because he does get revenge for everybody. It's like he's the terror getting revenge on the horrible people, and you understand why it would be the moms who did this horrible thing to Angela. But yeah, I can't square the Imogen chase.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense.
The fact that his name is Archie as well.
We love that. There's an Archie and a Chip. You know what I mean? There are names that they like in this universe. Oh my God, do you think it's Archie Andrews?
That's what I'm saying. Archie Andrews had a real bad time. The most like wholesome all-American boy.
He fought a bear. Anyway, we'll get to that in a long time.
We are going to have to really be careful, I think, of trying to like not spoil too much for people when we're doing it.
I think it'll be great when we do Riverdale. It's not like the plot lines are so outlandish that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
And we're not going to be talking about reveals because we just talk about Archie fighting a bear and people will be like, excuse?
It's not even a reveal. It just happens.
It does just happen.
What's Creepy Joe's involvement?
I don't know because I thought he would be the A attacking, and it does turn out that there is a separate A attacking people, but Crazy Joe knows about the house, lives in there. Like, was Crazy Joe helping deliver messages on behalf of Clanton or just involved there?
Was he Archie's friend?
Right. Was he Archie's friend?
Or was he killed for knowing too much?
Right. Did Clanton think that, oh, he had exposed too much, so time for you to die?
I don't know.
Yeah, real unclear.
I got a lot of questions about Crazy Joe.
Yeah. But it does actually seem... Okay, so we do find out that Davy did feel guilty and kill herself, but I don't think that's what Crazy Joe felt like, because what does Crazy Joe have to feel sad about? Or guilty about?
What did Crazy Joe do?
Yeah.
How does A know that Farron told Kelly about A?
This is, I think, one of the big things that doesn't work with this show is the lack of focus on A Where in the original series, A is like pestering them every single episode. So A is like
monitoring.
Exactly.
Well, and there's like if they had found like a technology layer underneath like the house, you know what I mean?
Like the Howl room.
Because like the only time we've seen an A's lair on this show was like the first episode, and it was mostly just like A setting up all the things that A was doing in like the next episode, like the point shoes and the stuff.
Yeah. Well, and then there's a line that I cut out in the summary here in this episode where Mouse is like, how does A know that what we're doing all the time? It's like, does it feel like that? I don't feel like it feels like that.
Mm-hmm.
Does A...
They don't know what it looks like to be stalked.
Exactly.
Imogen needs to talk to Arya.
Uh-huh. It's yeah, I don't get it. So I think that's a big gap, but it's like, what? Like, how does it, A doesn't feel omniscient. A feels very limited. And just happens to know people's like these specific deep dark secrets, which is fair, but
what does Archie look like with the whole like a face only a mother could love?
Yeah, and I don't know what it has to do with also Rose's mistreatment of him. Mm-hmm. Like Rose's absolute abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Which tends toward this weird disability thing, right?
Yeah, which like always gives me a lot of pause.
Yeah. It's just vague enough that like we can't really dig into it, but it seems bad. We'll see what the second season does.
Whatever Rose did to her children is bad.
Yeah. And so it actually didn't click. Well, the Archie thing complicates this, but I only know Carrie at a high level of like listening to Just King things and things, but it's like what they're doing with Angela and Rose is Carrie. But then also Carrie is keeping Angela's brother in a cage. I don't know.
Yeah. How did the principal miss the entire school ignoring Angela?
He's just watching as Angela is just...
But like he's like, because he doesn't know this stuff. Like he doesn't know. He's like, oh, it's something they did, but he doesn't know what. And like if the entire school was ignoring her, you would think this man would have noticed and he'd be like, yeah, that makes sense.
Well, it seemed like he did know. Well, not at the time though, I guess, huh?
Well, and he didn't. Well, because it's just the erase her stuff, and then Imogen's like, "Oh, I think I know what this is about."
It seemed like in that scene that he's leading them. It's like you have to confess what you did, and I knew about it.
Okay.
But also that he didn't intervene.
Yeah, it's weird.
Or reach out to Angela or try and help in any way. So like he's just as guilty of like watching Angela just get like chewed up.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously, like he failed her as like a leader, mentor, father figure, not or father, right? Mm-hmm. Just anything in a leadership position, not helping this child.
He failed as a principal, let alone a father.
So then what in the hell does he mean by our sacrifice will mean this will never happen again?
He's going to kill them all.
Yeah, and then kill himself?
I don't know.
So then what the fuck does that actually do?
Nothing. I think it's just to make us think that he's like
unhinged.
Yeah, like an eye for an eye, or like he's like, oh,
I just
you have to punish the guilty.
I think this is another one of the reasons this episode falls flat for me, because Clanton is not a character. He hasn't been around. There's no impact. It's just like they just pulled a random guy out of a hat. So then it's like, why should we care that Clanton's involved? It's exactly what you mentioned, like in A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, of the red herring. The red herring's a joke because it's like, oh, we have to try and pin it on someone. And it's like, no, you idiot. It's actually someone that was involved with the episode.
Except for the episode that it was the red herring.
Exactly, because then once you start introducing the thing...
Then they're involved.
Uh-huh. But Clanton wasn't any of those.
Yeah, Clanton wasn't really involved.
So it doesn't land.
It's also like him then not allowing Tabby to do a video on sexual assault and like revenge and all of that makes even less sense.
Yeah.
Because you think he'd support that.
Right, exactly. And he's not even like a devil on her shoulder. He only kind of like really turns of being like, yes, like I understand, like it is horrible out there.
But like
Yeah, or in even being like, you can't do it through the school, I can't do it through the board. Like, he should have been the one to feed her the idea that Wes gives her.
Yeah.
Oh, I hadn't thought about this until you
It's
mentioned it.
really weird.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, you had actually brought up when we kind of finished it of like, what finale like makes you feel good, like, you know, like gives you that,
I don't like a lot of endings. This is how we got to the subject. Like there's a lot of books, or like not even the book itself, but like the series. Like when I finish something, I'm sometimes like left feeling unsatisfied. And the same with a lot of television shows. Like the reaction I think most people had to Game of Thrones is how I react to like a lot of things, where I'm like, this just feels convenient. And so I'm like, well, maybe I just don't like endings. Like, you know what I mean? Like maybe I'm not too picky, but like I'm like, my taste is very specific. And so like, of course there are things that I like the endings of, but
it's hard
to end things, and it's hard to have a good finale. And so I was asking what finales you liked, like what storylines or like solutions, even solutions. Like I think revealing Mona as excellent. The episode and like her why, not so great. But the reveal is really well done. And so I think there's versus like the reveal of it being Alex Drake, not good. Not good at all.
It's the exact thing. It's like, this isn't a character.
Exactly. So I was like, oh, what endings of things do you like? So I was trying to spark some like things that I enjoy.
Yeah, and I think exactly to your point, like I've been very vocal about on this show that I don't like the Mona reveal, but that's only because of her why. I think in terms of like the mechanics, like you mentioned, it works really well because you're like, it was Mona the whole time.
And
like,
you figure out that it, like when you watch it, you can figure out that it's Mona. Like if you mean, you can also think it's a dozen other people because that's the point of the show. But
some of us really whiff on that one. But yeah, you could find it. I think in terms of mysteries that you could really point to is Only Murders in the Building does this really well season to season. All of their reveals so far, I mean, it's currently in the 4th, we'll see where it ends up, have been great. Like it really, you go, oh, it's this person, and you can map back and you can trace it along, and it builds on like the storyline and thing that's happening and the themes communicated through. And I mean, in terms of like mystery writing, that's, I think, probably why a lot of people point to Agatha Christie for a lot of them. She misses, right? I think Murder on the Orient Express is kind of a big miss, but like the first Miss Marple book, of course I can't remember. And then we just read all of the titles are leaving me. I'll have to do a quick Google search. Okay. The murder of Roger Ackroyd has a really big twist in terms of like the context of the book, but you can kind of figure it out. So there's ways to do this, and I just think
a well-written mystery should be solvable.
Yeah.
It just also should be, the environment and the story should be so interesting that like you're not certain.
Exactly.
But like when you look at it, you should be able to solve it. And I think later seasons of Pretty Little Liars don't do this. And I think a lot of television has decided, and like movies and even books, like we get so wrapped up in the twist. And like there's a lot of books that like people really like here's the twist. But like if the twist isn't something that you could look at it and like put evidence in the previous parts of the story to it, it's not a good twist.
Yeah.
It's just like a change in direction.
I think no one should watch this movie. Like I'm telling you, like, do not watch this movie. But The Usual Suspects, it was like all when it like came out, and it is known for its like big twist at the end, but it's one of those things that you can't really reveal, so it doesn't really work on second repeat viewings. And so I think like that it you know, I think those types of things kind of like can obfuscate of like what actually a good mystery is. And the reason I say don't watch it, because it has Kevin Spacey starring and Bryan Singer behind the camera on that one. And if you don't know about either of those, I'm going to tell you to go look up on Wikipedia's, because it's fucking awful. And I'd rather not relay it here.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just in general, I think like a lot of mysteries or twists or plot twists, even like it doesn't have to be a mystery. Like even in fantasy, there's like plot twists, or it's like the third act betrayal, or you know what I mean? Like, and if you can't look at the thing as a whole when you reread it and see all the evidence points that lead you to that point, It's not a good twist.
Yeah. J.J. Abrams and Lost are probably to blame for this.
Okay. Are you ready for my favorite subject?
Let's do it.
Martha stabs Tom.
Yeah. We get some good catharsis on this.
Except that he doesn't die. Well, he does die, but...
Uh-huh. Like, it is like this, like, ooh, man, things are really... You didn't... All these people live. Like, A's still alive, Tom's still alive, even though, like, we get... Like, it's all, like, very messy and unresolved there. If, like, Chip got out of jail because, like, his parents were able to afford bail. So it's, like... Still... You get that catharsis, but you know it's not over because these people could still hurt and things again. Like, it plays really good in that theme of, like, the outside world being this, like, dangerous thing and that doesn't even protect you. And, you know, you try and get your revenge, but even that can't even go so far. Right? But it is a very good scene of Martha being, like, finally fighting back.
I also, so talking about A's trials, like, I know you wanted to bring that back up. What I think I'm not sure if I like about this show is that these girls are so morally pure that none of them do it.
Yeah.
And while I'm not saying that, like we said with the tattoo, like I'm like, I might have done that one, but it depends.
Carving an A in Chip's chest.
Yeah, that one was a little far for me. Like, I don't know what Mouse was supposed to do with.
Yeah, because I don't know if she was supposed to move the candles forward to set the mouse traps off.
Or, like, if she was supposed to, like, post about him, like, expose him.
Yeah, because all the computer screens are lit up, too.
Uh-huh.
Which is, I will say, again, talking about set design, all of these rooms are horrifying. It's great.
Yeah, no, they do a beautiful job in, you know, the creepy way. But, I kind of want more, like, our old girls would have done half this shit.
Yeah.
Arya would have carved that A in Chip's chest. And
I'm sorry.
She would have been like, or Spencer would have carved the A.
Yes.
The only one that might not have done anything was Emily. And it depends on how mad, what season are we on?
Right, exactly.
Do we have, who hurt who? I also think it would have been interesting, like, our old girls would often do things for each other. And so, like, if you had given, you know, like, this person hurt Mouse, like, what are you going to do? Like, I think that mental game is, like, more interesting.
Right.
It feels kind of like, you know how in the dollhouse, like, the torture was more psychological than physical? And it was very much like, we're going to shock this person if you don't do this. Or, like, you know, like the horrible boards thing. Like, this was, like, that light. And, like, the intention was for them not to do it. And because it was for themselves, like, it doesn't. I know the point was that they weren't supposed to because it's like, oh, maybe, like, morally. And then they don't give Imogen that choice because she is not given a trial where she has to, like, hurt someone or do anything.
Yeah.
So she can't be forgiven. Like, she can't rectify the mistake.
Right.
Which is, it's an interesting choice. Like, I think that's all interesting conceptually, but I just wish there had been, like, I don't know, more to it, or it had been, like, more impactful versus, like, just for the shock value.
Yeah, because we don't get any of them.
Also, like, A had to catch all these people. Like, how long did this take to set up? I mean, I guess we know it's Clanton and he's got access to the school, but I'm like...
Yeah. You had to do that, like,
I guess that's why the janitor was never reported missing.
Oh, yeah,
they probably have just been saying he showed up for work.
He's just been putting him present. Yeah, there's no struggle. We don't see any of the girls struggle. We just see them go, and then they just, like, come out and it's like, yeah, just didn't do it. Like, wasn't a big deal. And then A's like, aha, you did it. And it's like, but it seems like A, with getting vengeance on people, would be trying to point them in the direction of also trying to get vengeance on people. Of, like, you need to punish the guilty because that's what we're doing.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
No. So it's like we get these really immaculately set up, like, horror scenes that they do absolutely nothing with. I'm like, oh, we're stepping into Saw territory, where it's like, you have to do this thing to save yourself. But no. How far will you go? And then they're just like, it wasn't a big deal. I just turned around and left. And there's
well, and I also think so. This is very niche, and there's a lot. I'm going to bring up Akatar, which can be very triggering because Sarah J. Maas is not. There's a lot on the internet about her not being a great person. Anyway, in the first A Court of Thorns and Roses book, at the end, Feyre has to, as our main character, she's basically has to do these trials to like save everyone, including all these fairies, and she's a human. It's a whole thing. Don't worry, she gets turned into a fairy at the end. Spoiler, but you know that when you come into it. Her name's Feyre, and it's about fairies. Did you just put that together?
God.
Anyway, so
I've read 3 of these books, by the way.
Anyway, so the last trial she has to do, she has to kill basically 2 fairies to like save everyone else. And like the idea that like she wouldn't have done it for herself, but the idea that she is freeing like thousands or hundreds, I don't know how many there are or whatever, is the only way like she can do it is because she's in love, and it's a whole fucking thing. But anyway, she's like, when I kill the last fairy, I'm gonna end my own life because like it's like I've done these horrible things, and it's a story, so more goes from there. But the idea, I really like the inner turmoil of that it's like, I'm doing this, I wouldn't do this for myself, but I'm doing this because of all like if I don't do this horrible thing, all these other people, it's the trolley problem.
Yep.
And I think it's a really interesting way to do the trolley problem. So I kind of wish, like, the trolley problem to me is like my favorite conundrum, because it's just like, it's so like, what do you do? Which action do you take?
Right.
And like, do you hit the 2 to 3 people to save the thousands?
And then how do you feel about that afterwards?
And then how do you cope with the fact that you made that choice? And so I think that'd be really interesting, because then I think that next season would be all about them coping with the fact that like, if I did something to save Farron, but Farron didn't do something to save Imogen, how do I feel? Or I did something horrible and Mouse didn't, or you know what I mean? Like, or like, I feel like I had to do something that was so much worse than what you had to do.
Right. Imagine you were Mouse and you went through with it. Say everybody went through with it, right? And then you come out and you find that Farron Henley had to give a tattoo. I'd be pissed.
Yes. So I think that adds more texture to the story that we kind of lose. It becomes very surface level.
Yeah.
And the friendships are very surface level. I just think it doesn't quite, I think it's because of the shorter seasons, or just because it is, or maybe it's just like this particular storyline or writing style. I don't know. It just feels like we don't get like in-depth character work. Like, it's all to serve the story for the most part.
Yeah.
Except for Imogen, kind of.
Yeah, kind of. There is like some growth, but it's all around one particular problem, and it's all disconnected from all the other characters.
Yeah, and it's the idea of like how she perceives her mom.
Yeah. Which I think is actually done good in this episode.
Yes.
But everybody else, it's kind of like they're kind of dealing with their own things, so it's like, why are they all friends?
Well, and it's also like, if you were going to really focus on this one plot line, why focus so much on these other, like, why make the other plot lines so big and weird? Yeah. Like, if you're going to focus on Imogen and her mother's relationship, or the mother-daughter relationship, why have Mouse's weird plotline?
Yeah.
But just in general, why have Mouse's... Could we do nothing else with Mouse? Couldn't Mouse just like make out with Ash, and we could have had like a cute little couple and just like had a good time?
Yeah, because then it's just like, I don't need a dad. But she doesn't say that. That's what it is. It's like, I don't need a father. I have everything I need right here.
It's a very goofy ending.
Oh my God. Yes. A couple things to jump off exactly what you're saying there. Yes, I think having something more impactful in those scenes, whether it's setting up like saving your friends, saving the moms, or just some more reason to give to those scenes rather than just being like, we just pieced out, would be better.
I like how I'm like, I don't like horror creepy, and I'm like, this should have been worse. But it doesn't hit.
Exactly.
Like, it was just, to me, then it's just stressful because I don't like this kind of stuff, and then it's not giving me like anything emotionally impactful from it.
No. You just get a brief scene and that's it. Yeah, because
like, images.
Like, if you're gonna bring something, you have to follow through on it. So, and I think the Imogen Davy stuff is done really well here because she has to square that like my mom actually did kill herself, which is like
She left me.
Right.
Like that's how she was abandoned is how she feels. You know what I mean? Like
and also
and my mother did something so bad that she felt so guilty that she killed herself. Like, and what does that say about this person that I loved and idolized?
Right.
And what does that say about me if that's the person that raised me and I loved them and I idolized them?
And that
it's very convenient that at the end she's just like, and I know who my mom is, but like, and I knew who she was. And I'm like, I feel like I'd be having a lot more complicated feelings than that.
Yeah. We'll see what they do with the next season. Because I think to your point of like, yeah, it's that, I think because of the shorter time, I think what they did in this season finale, well, I'm coming up with rationales of like why I think like the really rushed things of like, and we're doing all these good things for ourselves. Yay, it's all nice and tidy is like, we don't know if we're getting a second season.
Yeah, we need an ending.
That's my way of rationalizing of like, this is all like really clean.
But you can end a murder mystery without ending the emotional arc. And I think that's what Only Murders does really well. They don't end the characters' arcs. That's a good... And it's so, for some reason, people when they create, I mean, like I've read a lot of books and seen a lot of shows and movies where it's like, we have to end the character's emotional growth by the end, but like we'll leave the plot open.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, close the story. People keep growing. People don't change overnight. People keep changing or like are having a hard time with things. And like, you don't have to end with like, oh, now Imogen is a whole new person. Like she just had a traumatic event, traumatic birth, I assume, you know what I mean? Like she wasn't conscious for it. And, has had all these horrible things and finds out this horrible information. Like, in what world would she be okay?
Yeah. She's not okay in the scene, but then later it's just kind of like, I'll remember her as I remember her. And it's like, that's fine.
And it's okay if like they show that and then they kind of show that she's like lying to herself. Like there's lots of ways to play with that. But.
Right. And I think the scenes where she's running away from A, it's trying to like convey all of that in like a condensed thing, but it's set up against her running away from A as if like, if you've seen Signs, there's this really goofy piece where like Dennis Quaid has like this, like he had spoken to someone and it's like at the right time, you need to tell your brother to swing away, which is essentially that he like fast forwards to the end. It's like, you need to swing a bat at these aliens.
Oh my God.
So that's kind of what they're doing here. It's just like, remember how we used to play hide and seek? And Imogen's like, hide and seek, I never would have thought of hiding. So it plays really goofy in that. But I think what it's trying to do is her remembering all these times where mom helped her.
Yeah.
But it's like, as if it's playing like these things of like, I should run. My mom told me how to run one time.
Well, or if it had been like, oh, like if the memory had been her mom telling her to hide because someone was trying to break in.
Right.
Like that would have been more impactful because it would have emotionally matched the moment. Like my mother taught me to do this to protect myself.
Yeah.
My mother told me to hide with a knife to protect myself. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but like.
It's just like we played hide and seek once. She taught me how to play hide and seek.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's a lot of strangeness, but. Yeah.
And I think speaking to the tidiness, that end Christmas scene is so goofy. Like, where Greg is seemingly just accepted in the group, where it's like Marjorie's like, I'm going to get clean finally. And then, so it just like, it is that sort of like, look at all these characters are now working on themselves. They're going to grow and they're fixed it. I think the thing that most doesn't work about all of it is that Corey's like, I'm going to be back in Millwood permanently.
And it's like, you're still a bitch.
Okay. But it's like, what was your position in Philadelphia? What was what was the thing that caused it to break down between you and your husband? Is that all paved over now? It's like, I spoke to that, like, quote unquote, the restoration fantasy and children's thing of like the restoration of the nuclear family. And that's what we get like really like hastily done there. It's like, okay.
It is interesting.
So.
Well.
Yeah, I don't think I've.
Any other thoughts?
No. Yeah, it will be interesting to see if in the second season they're going to start working with some of these ideas that it's like, okay, now that we do have a second season, we're going to kind of backtrack a little bit on like that tidy ending. And we'll have Imogen thinking through more of these things and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. We don't know where it's going.
So we'll see.
We'll see. Well,
yeah. So no
theory corner or no detective club.
We'll return next week. We'll be back with 2 episodes next week to kick off summer school.
Yeah. Are you excited to go to summer school?
Yeah, I mean, I had other plans this summer, but that's fine.
Should have gone to PE more.
Yeah, some of my friends will be there, so it'll be all right.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. So that'll be cool.
All right. Well,
you can find us on all your audio podcast platforms of choice at Dead Ends. You can also find us on YouTube at dead_ends. Send us in your emails for the finale episode. If we get enough questions, we'll do a whole, Q&A episode at the end covering all of PLL. So, send those into the email at deadendspcast@gmail.com, or you can leave it in the YouTube comments and maybe let us know if that's what you're doing. If you're like, hey, this would be good for the finale episode, because otherwise I'll probably just respond. And then I won't think about it ever again. So, make sure to do that. And, like, subscribe, rate 5 stars, all that good stuff.
All right.
Cool. So we're still here, and we're going to find out everything over 4 more podcast episodes.
I love you. Bye.
Love you.